Good morning, Sacramento. We are live, and if you're listening to this in the evening or during the daytime on our recast, you're going to have an amazing show today. But for those that are in Sacramento, we are live and excited. We have a great show with Brandon and myself on called Gratitude. We're going to be talking about gratitude today. And we've got an amazing speaker that we're going to bring up after the first break. Good friend of mine, top-selling author, international speaker, and wrote a book on flipping the gratitude switch, and we'll bring him up later. But let's go get it. Good morning, Brandon. How are you?
I'm amazing. How are you today?
I am fantastic and improving.
Yeah, beautiful weather this morning. I love driving in and just feeling it wasn't really a big rain. It was just kind of like a little sprinkle, but the air was fresh. It wasn't cold. It was like a warm atmosphere and just a great rain.
Yeah, I loved on my drive up, I've got an hour drive up here to the station, but, I'm listening to my personal development and just the rain. It was but the sun was out and there was this huge rainbow. This thing was like, I was trying to take pictures, but it was amazing. I was just thinking, gosh, what a blessed day today.
You meant you were taking pictures while your car was pulled over to the side of the road, though, right?
Yeah, I should have. Exactly.
So today's topic is going to be completely about gratitude. The state of being grateful, the thankfulness, what we all experience for gratitude. So this show is really just kind of pushing it out there to everybody. What are you grateful for? What do you have gratitude for? So Mike, what is it for you?
Well, just starting my day to be able to roll out of bed and stretch is I'm grateful for that. But, I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for the business, the show, and things that we're doing. I'm grateful for the people's lives we're going to change, right, with what we do. And it's just, every day I'm writing. I've got this journal. I call it my success journal. Part of the thing that I write in my success journal is what I'm grateful for what happened today. And I'm always looking for that opportunity to flip the gratitude switch, as we'll talk here later on with the speaker. But I'm always looking for that. What am I most grateful for?
Yeah, I totally agree. And I really have to nail down the fact that when I get up in the morning, I kind of lay there for a moment and just think about what I'm grateful for, what I have gratitude towards.
Yeah.
And I like to kind of deep dive into it. So I don't want to just say I'm grateful for my friends or I'm grateful for my family. I actually try to pinpoint something. And this is helpful for any of you listening right now, is that even in these stages of meditation that you do, so if you look at all these top leading authors, CEOs, business owners,
yeah,
a lot of them will really give credit to their meditation or what they do in their morning ritual. I call it owning your day. Own your day in that morning. If it's 15 minutes that you have, I try to do 10 minutes, and I don't do standard meditation like everyone else. I will lay there for a moment and I will literally deep dive into what I'm grateful for, what I have gratitude for. So for example, this morning when I got up, the first thing I looked at is my wife. And I said, I'm just grateful for her always being there for me.
Sure.
Not just that she's here, but she's always there for me. She's my pillar.
Right.
When I'm having a bad day, I can come home and kiss her and things change. And then I went a little further and said, okay, my 13-year-old Mason, I'm so grateful for his appreciation of his friendships.
Sure.
And his time.
Yep.
He really embraces, I'm going to have the most fun ever. Oh, today wasn't that great. I only got to do 3 fun things. I should have got 4 in. He's planning his Saturday. Saturdays aren't going to be boring anymore. I'm going to invite a friend over on Friday, and Saturday morning is going to be great because he's going to be here.
There. Yep.
So he's I'm really I'm diving into what it is I have gratitude for. My son Maddox this morning, I'm sitting there thinking, man, he really values all of his belongings.
Absolutely.
Which as a kid I didn't, because I didn't have much. So when I did have something, I would hold on to it.
Sure.
But I also knew that it was going to wear out and die and fall apart, which a lot of things in my life did when I was young. Yeah. So I didn't have the gratitude that he has for his life and his value. He saves money better than I do. He will not spend a penny. He'll shop every Amazon store to find what he wants at a lower price.
Yeah, exactly.
And then my 3-year-old, I just stopped for a second and I thought about she has so much gratitude for the love in our family. She will not let me leave any morning without saying kiss and a hug. I'll be leaving, she'll be like, hey, wait a second. You just barely gave me a kiss. I want a kiss and a big hug. And I'm I have so much gratitude just for that.
Yeah, my kids have moved out, but my I've got a baby pug.
Amazing little dog.
Oh man, he just loves to give affection. And the first thing this morning, he just crawled up on my chest and laid his head right near my chin, and he just wants these kisses all morning. I'm grateful for he's living a life of love, right? And he just loves everybody. And amazing dog, goes
and wants
crazy.
the love. He comes around.
Yeah.
He's like, "Give it to me, give it to me."
Well, and it makes my day, right? Because I get all excited, and then I'm just thinking about him and the pictures, and just it starts my day with my gratitude, and just having that in my life with my fiance and my dog and everything. So,
yeah. So what we're really trying to get across to our listeners right now is that you've got to fill yourself up.
Yep.
And just this 5-minute ritual in the morning, just like really stopping for a second. If you got 30 minutes, spend 10 of it just really deep diving into what you're grateful for. What do you have gratitude towards? The state of being grateful, the thankfulness that you can put out there. I just finished a thing from Mind Valley. So Vishen put out a 6 steps to meditation, where he really takes meditation seriously for the normal people, right? There's some deep diving meditation people.
Yeah.
That's not me.
No, that's not me either.
Yeah, I'm like the guy who's thinking about what I'm grateful for in the shower and how my day is going to plan and kind of putting my affirmations out there.
Yeah.
But if you actually stop for a moment and just realize what gratitude you have in your life for all the things that you have in your life, like what is it? Like what am I really have this thankfulness for?
Yeah, the thing that I've learned is that if I'm in a rush or something happens, and if I don't do that, my day just seems sluggish. Like it just wasn't, and I have to take a moment, sit down, relax, close my eyes, and just go through that process. So I've learned that I've got to really make that time in the morning to what am I grateful, because it just fills up my excitement for the day and what I've got planned.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's a sluggish day, and it just seems like nothing's going right.
Yeah, and have the gratitude in the now, the present state. Everything that you wake up in the morning and you feel grateful for, you're being grateful and the feeling is happening to you now. So our whole show is how to take tactics that you can use now. In the now is about the entrepreneurs that are growing now, the speakers that we're bringing on. It's all about what you can experience now and actually take it and implement it. You can literally just be driving down the road and see things that are going on and just be grateful for how your town works. Be grateful for what's going on in your market. Be grateful that you own a business or that you have a job. I mean, even taking that one step back and saying, you know what, I may be a cubicle jockey, but I'm going to be the best cubicle jockey ever. And when I go home, I'm going to check in with my family, and I'm going to go gratefully all the way in.
Go all out.
And before I forget, because you mentioned your dog, we just got a new puppy, Rex. So this morning, he was actually in my gratefulness. I was like, okay, gratitude. I'm so grateful for this little guy. He's so smart.
Yeah.
And my kids, it's
He's a basset hound
them.
with the big ears.
Yeah, he's got the big ears, and he's running around the house, and he gets his water, and the ears get all wet, and they're flopping around the kitchen. Looks like he just mopped the floor when he walks by.
Yeah, I sent you that video. All those basset hounds, I just thought of you guys because it looked like your basset hound. I was like, they're all running around and all crazy.
Yeah, his little brother came over the other day, and he gave him a run for his money. But just as the listeners are out there, I mean, is there one thing you could say right now just to say, hey, this is how I hone in on what I'm grateful for? How does my gratitude work for you, Mike?
Yeah, so for me, I go I look at opportunities that are difficult right now in my life, and then I look at the other side, like how could I be grateful for what that is? Whatever my problem is, it helps me solve and really focus and find the gratitude to even that problem. So that's one of the things that I do, because we all have problems. We all have situations. We're all busy. And I just always look for that next side.
Yeah, it's very important. Always just looking at what's happening right now.
Yep.
And then kind of moving it forward. Like they always say, don't worry.
No.
Worry about what's going on right this second, not what could happen or what has happened in the past. Be in the moment. So thank you, guys. We're going to go to break, and we'll be back with Kevin Clayson, author of Flipping the Gratitude Switch.
It's going to be a great show. Stay tuned.
Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back. Yes. Well, we've got a great guest today, and he's a good friend of mine, and I've spoken on a lot of stage with this gentleman. And I was just thinking, for the show that we were going to do on gratitude, there couldn't be a perfect person that could do this show. This gentleman's an international speaker. He's speaking all over the world. He's written a top-selling book called Flipping the Gratitude Switch. And it's a great book. If you haven't got to read, you've got to read it. But this gentleman is just full of energy, and I'm excited to bring him to the call. And his name's Kevin Clayson. Kevin, are you out there?
Of course I'm out here, bro. When Mike Drigger says, hey, Kev, jump on the phone and let's talk and change some people's lives, dude, I am all in. How are you, my friend?
I am fantastic and improving, as I said earlier, and I've got my co-host Brandon Heinz here, and he's excited. He loved your title. What was his title?
Oh, the title, the Chief of Awesomeness. So basically,
Yeah,
Chief Officer of Awesome.
Chief Officer of Awesome. That's right. Don't get it twisted. Chief Officer of Awesome. See, here's the deal. Here's the reason why that works, is nobody had that title, so I just figured I'd claim it for myself. And so there you have it.
Outstanding. I've heard Chief Visionary Officer, but Chief Officer of Awesome. You nailed it, man.
So, Kevin,
Thanks, man.
today's
Good to hear from
show,
you. Yeah.
it's all about gratitude, and I know that you are the man on this, and your book, your amazing book, by the way. Why don't you tell us, like, what is your day and how you get started with gratitude?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I was listening to the segment before you guys brought me on, and you guys were doing a really good job of talking about things that one can be thankful for. But see, here's kind of what I've realized, that there's kind of a gap in a lot of personal development, which is why I ended up writing the book. There's this gap, right? There's kind of like these 3 levels of gratitude, and most people are familiar with 2 of them. And one of them is ingratitude, right? That's kind of where a lot of people just kind of live. Look, everybody wants to be happy and feel whole and feel joy. But the reality is, like, life is going to happen and life is kind of hard. And sometimes if we don't counter sort of what's coming at us, then we kind of sit in this perpetual state of dissatisfaction with the life that we have. And we know that ingratitude doesn't work. But expressing gratitude, that's kind of the next level up, right? And expressing gratitude is great. A lot of people do gratitude journals. A lot of people do the kind of exercises like you guys talked about. You wake up and you think about what you're thankful for. This is a good practice, but it's not enough. And so that's what I didn't know until I went on the journey to write the book, is that there is one additional level of gratitude where all of a sudden gratitude does in this third level, gratitude no longer is kind of this touchy-feely, like, emotional thingy that, like, weird people who only do yoga and eat vegan do. Like, it's so much more than that, right? Gratitude is something you do, not just something that you feel. And a lot of people think it's an emotion that's expressed, but it's so much more than that in the event that you want it to actually, and this is what it can do, real, live, actual, actionable gratitude doesn't just make you thankful, it literally changes your brain and it rewires your neural pathways and shifts the entire perspective you have on the life that you have permanently, because it changes your brain. But it's more than feeling and expressing gratitude. It's actually activating and living in gratitude as opposed to just kind of having and expressing gratitude. And that's really what I wrote the book about. How do you take the life that you have right now, and in the midst of frustrations, because here's the other piece, right? A lot of people think being thankful is something that you do after something good happens. Well, that's weak sauce. What gratitude really is finding a way to be thankful in the moment, in the frustration. And if you can learn to be thankful in life circumstances, whatever they may be, you kind of unlock this unlimited joy and power, so that now all of a sudden life shifts drastically, perspective on everything shifts, and you begin living this kind of new experience, this new existence of the life that you had, and it's really powerful.
Outstanding. I love it. The weak sauce. And I'm a firm believer is that you got to have this gratitude in the now. It has to be in the moment that you're in. So for you, Kevin, if you were to give our listeners, business owners, entrepreneurs, the workers out there, one good tip to start taking this next level, this third level that no one really knows about, how would they get there?
Yeah, and you hit on the key. You said that it's got to be now, right? By the way, that's why gratitude journaling for a lot of people doesn't work. It's a great practice in theory, but if you think about what you do, when you gratitude journal, you kind of remove yourself from the now and you sort of think about what happened today that could be awesome, right? So you're literally removing yourself from the most important moment ever, and which is now, which you guys are experts in. So what you do to be thankful now is this is kind of where I found and was able to kind of unlock this formula that for me was a big difference maker, which is the very next moment that you feel frustrated, right? Something happens. You stub a toe. Somebody cuts you off on the freeway. You get a rock chip. You go to your favorite place for lunch, and they're out of the meat that you like. Your kids don't listen. Your wife gets frustrated with you, or whatever. Like the very next individual frustration that you feel, if you can find and sort of isolate and take that moment and understand that you're frustrated and extract out why it is that you're frustrated, you now get to do this new thing, which is you find something awesome embedded in the frustration. And then you become thankful for that thing that was awesome embedded in the frustration, which then unlocks this power. I call it gratifuel because I think that gratitude fuels life. But what happens is when you go through that process of taking and isolating the frustration, finding something awesome embedded in the frustration, and then being thankful for that, your body will actually release dopamine, and you will actually feel your physical state will change. And so, like, for example, when I stub my toe, this happens to me all the time. I wake up all the time in the morning. I've had the same bed for the last 8 years.
Because of all the kids' toys, right?
Oh, my gosh. For some reason, I can't. I always stub my toe. So when I stub my toe, I used to get so mad and angry. And then I'd go out into the hallway and step on a Lego, and then I was livid. Then I'd get in the shower, and it took forever for the water to warm up, and now I'm really angry. Then I'd look in the mirror and see a new wrinkle, and I'd be mad that I'm getting older. And then my kid would come running down the hall and give me a hug, and they would, like, be screaming, "Daddy!" But it was so loud that I'd be like, "Guys, please, come on, just a little quieter." And so all of a sudden, within the first 10 minutes of my day, by not taking that first tiny, seemingly insignificant thing that happened in frustration and changing it in the moment that it comes, all of a sudden I begin down this path that so many of us are on a really regular basis, which is one of frustration and not really understanding why things aren't going our way. But if I back it up and I stub my toe and I go, "Oh my gosh, hold on, whoa, I'm frustrated because I stubbed my toe. I know this feeling. I don't like this feeling. Why am I frustrated? You know what? I'm frustrated because I hurt." Okay. And I've done it 100 times. But then I go, what could possibly be awesome inside of the idea that I just stubbed my toe? So let me ask you guys, if you were to stub your toe and you go, "Oh, I'm frustrated because I stubbed it again, it hurts," what could be awesome about that? I know you guys know, but just throw it out there.
Yeah, the fact that I didn't just fall on my face. I just stubbed my toe only.
Yeah.
There you go. Can you think of anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I can think of a lot of things. You know, I'm going through a situation right now with my fiance where she had developed breast cancer. And, you know, I've been looking for the gratitude of how we've been able to eliminate that out of her life. And I started going into the now and saying, you know what? She's fine. Her hair's good. Everything's good. She's looking good. She's coming back. And it just,
there you go.
It's been an amazing result because we're both in that state.
Yeah, and she's so positive. I had a chance to meet her last weekend, and it was great. Me and my wife both loved her. And she lives in that gratifuel, you know, what you're talking about. She's
Totally
got that positive energy that's fueling her.
That's
but
right.
What I love about what you just said is that, you know, the neuroscience behind it all is that when you stub your toe and you're frustrated, then the next time it's going to be just even worse. But what you're doing right now is you're embedding that line. That gratifuel is taking hold of that stubbing the toe. And since you do it so much, you're now building a different neuroscience of it. You've got a different pathway. So when you stub your toe, your first reaction isn't to get frustrated, it's to find the awesomeness that's in it. So you're actually building a belief structure within your mind that stubbing your toe has to have a positive outcome.
See, exactly.
Yeah, you're changing the route, right?
So,
yeah.
This is what's so cool about it. So our minds work like one of those, like a train track that can switch from one track to the other, right? So many of us, one bad thing happens, we marinate in it, and then another thing and another thing, and it's this vicious cycle. Well, Dr. Alex Korb talks about it in terms of the virtuous cycle. So if you take that moment and you kind of switch that train track, you begin down an entirely different trajectory, an entirely different path. You flip that track, and all of a sudden it's not, "Oh, I'm frustrated and it hurts." It's, "Oh, I'm frustrated and it hurts." But wait a second. what could be awesome in it. And what you guys just demonstrated and what I'm assuming the audience did, I speak all over the country with this, and I always do this with the audience. I get to that point and I say, what could be awesome inside of, name your frustration? And it's always kind of slow. The first answer is like, oh, well, and then the next one comes quicker and the next one quicker. And then I tell the whole audience, I don't care if it's 1,000 or 30 in the room, I go, we just witnessed science. You flip the track of your mind and your brain began finding and searching additional connections on that path, which then put you in a different state and changed the very thought pattern in the moment that thought pattern could have been destructive. And so when you actually find the awesome inside the frustration, your brain switches tracks, and then you actually go through and go, you know what? I stubbed my toe. It hurts. At least I have pain receptors. At least I have a toe. My brain starts to work. I go, what did I stub it on? I stubbed it on a bed. I've got a bed. I look up. I have a roof. Oh, my gosh, I have this house. I look in my bed. Oh, my goodness, there's my wife. I think of the fact that I have this house and this bed, and that means I've got a job and an income, which means I'm serving people and adding value. And I think, oh, man, that lets me be there for my kids' soccer games and coach my kids' soccer games. And all of a sudden, my mind is extracting out all of these awesome things in the very moment that I used to be frustrated. And now I can actually go, you know what? Oh, my gosh, I'm so thankful that I can actually feel that pain. And I have this bed, and I have my wife and the kids and my job. And all of a sudden now I'm actually triggering a physical response, which is when my body releases dopamine. And now I feel awesome. By the way, when you flip the gratitude switch, that's what I call that process. And it's actually a 4-step process, FLIP. F, find the frustration. L, look for what's awesome. I, initiate or install gratitude, and P, power up with Gratifuel. When you do that, you now power up and power through until that next frustration. And then the very next seemingly insignificant frustration becomes another moment you can isolate and go through that process of finding what's awesome, looking for what's awesome, embedded in the frustration, kind of initiating that gratitude sequence, which then changes your body and releases that dopamine. And like you said, Brandon, over time, you are creating new neural pathways so that the entire perspective of the life you are currently living shifts.
Yeah,
And
you're
it
shifting a
happens all
belief
inside of
structure.
about 30
Yeah.
seconds.
That
That's
whole
right.
thing that happens, every single belief that you, me, every person that's listening to this show comes from an experience. If you change the experience, the belief structure changes. If stubbing your toe has an awesome effect, then it will always have an awesome effect. People don't understand that every single thing that you do, your mind, every part of your body, your pinky, your toe, everything works for you. It's your mind.
Well, and the thing that I liked about the analogy is with the train, whichever direction you switch, you've got a machine, a ton of weight that's forcing that thought, right? So if you keep that negativity and you put it out there, you've got this momentum of a train creating that environment for you, where if you flip the switch, put it on a different track, now
Control
you've
the
got this
experience.
positive energy that's going out there.
Great.
Yeah, you got to control the experience, or the belief structure will control you.
So, hey, listen, we're going to
so
go to a
right.
commercial break, but when we get back, we're going to talk more about this 4-step formula with Kevin Clayson, the author of Flip the Gratitude Switch. And so, Kevin, we look forward to hearing more about the flip when we get back with that 4-step formula.
Released now on Amazon. So you can go to flipthegratitudeswitch.com. So now we're back with Kevin. How are you?
Hey, Kevin. So tell us a little bit about this 4-step formula. You kind of went over it a little bit before we went to break.
Yeah.
But the flip, let's go into a little bit of detail about that formula, because I think that's critical for our audience.
No, awesome. Yeah, and here's the thing that I love about it, right? Like, you guys got to understand, I was the least thankful person on the planet, and I now finally figure out, like, I sort of unlocked something and kind of cracked a code that I've been seeking that, frankly, for me was missing in all the awesome books from amazing authors that I'd read. Everybody said, be thankful. I couldn't figure out how to take a life that I was living that on paper looked good, but I couldn't find joy inside of that life, right? And gratitude for me was like this touchy-feely emotional thingy that you do at Thanksgiving before you eat turkey, and it wasn't a tangible thing to me. And so when I kind of went through the process of going, man, maybe if I can be thankful inside of a frustration. And by the way, I didn't come up with that. I know you guys are like me, and I love to listen to speakers, and I love to read books, and I love to go to conferences, and I love to invest in my potential for success. And I was actually at a conference, and I heard Darren Hardy, who a lot of people know from some of his books like the Compound Effect and Entrepreneur Roller Coaster. He had talked about this time in his life when he had kept a gratitude journal, but not any old gratitude journal. He kept a gratitude journal about frustrations and then how he was able to be thankful inside the frustration. And he said it changed his life. And so when I kind of got to a point where, you know, I was unhappy with my relationships, I was unhappy with my work, I was unhappy with the growth of my company, I was unhappy with my income level, and I just kind of felt like I wanted to escape. And I didn't really know what to do, but I knew escaping wasn't the answer. I was like, gosh, maybe I ought to try that. And so when I started to go through this process and take daily seemingly insignificant frustrations and try to find a way to be thankful inside of those, it felt like I was flipping this internal switch, and like the life that I currently was living, all of a sudden I viewed it through a new set of lenses. And that's kind of when I went, okay, what is really going on inside? And I started to do some research, and I really started to hone down on what it was that was happening, because I knew that if the message could work for me, it could work for anybody. If I was the least thankful person, then I knew that people who were much further along than me in their journey of being happy, content people, that they might really be able to benefit from this. And so my goal was to, like, how do I take that and deliver it so that people can kind of be the hero of their own story by using this idea and this formula. And before I kind of go into FLIP, I wanted to share one analogy that has really made a difference. Like, have you guys ever gone to a 3D movie and taken off the glasses?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what does it look like? What does it look like, right? When you take off the glasses, then what happens?
It's just like this blur.
It's blurry and all these colors.
Yeah, there's like layers
colors.
over layers.
That's right.
Start to get a headache.
So here's the crazy thing. If you went to a movie and you took off the 3D glasses and it was a 3D movie, if you went and saw Thor, right? Thor's out. By
Saw
the
it
end
last
of the
night.
movie, oh, dude, how good was that movie?
That was
Let's
great.
be honest. Come on.
It was a good
That's
movie. I took
awesome.
both my boys last night with my wife.
Awesome. See, I love it. So if you went and you took off the 3D glasses, by the end, you'd know what Thor's journey was. You would have laughed at some of the jokes. You know, you would have heard the same music. The action sequences would have taken place at the same time. In other words, the movie wouldn't have changed. Simply your perception, your perspective, your experience of the movie shifts when you put on the glasses. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So-
It enhances it, right?
Yes. So what flipping the gratitude switch does is it literally takes that same movie of the life that you're already living, and it puts it into this sharp, beautiful, incredible focus where now you can experience it at a much different sort of level and to a different degree. But you don't have to change. You don't magically have to make more money tomorrow. You don't magically have to have a different wife or different kids. Like the same life that you have right now, because that's where I was. I had the life I had. How do I find joy in it? It was going through this FLIP process on a regular basis that all of a sudden shifted it into startling and beautiful focus. So now that my perspective with a rewired brain is now, it's like I have those 3D glasses on permanently, you know?
Yeah, and you're nailing it, because everything that happens in life is all about the experience. The things that we want are about the experience that we're going to have during it. So I'm loving where you're going. I love it.
So if we look at, thank you. So if we look at FLIP, right? F is you find the frustration. Now, here's the deal. This can work for small things and it can work for big things, right? Just like Mike, you described, you and Gabby are going through a real struggle. Well, you can still take those moments of frustration and isolate them, and this is the key. So I've got a friend. He's a great speaker, very successful and accomplished author and psychologist. He calls himself the positivity psychologist. And he started to use the FLIP formula with his patients because it finally gave him a way to take his people that he was already sharing great information with and say, here's a moment to isolate what's going on in your brain so that you can actually do some work on it. And so when I stub that toe or when that person cuts me off, if I can become conscious to the fact that I am in fact frustrated right now, that right there, what that does is it gives me a little bit of breathing room in life. It lets me open up the door just a little bit to possibly step through a door of different possibility, as opposed to just kind of like you said, Mike, that train and the momentum just carrying me down the track of one frustration after the next. My boss sucks, work sucks, I don't have enough money. The government sucks. Congress is stupid, so on and so forth. I all of a sudden I'm not on that path. I'm going, whoa. I can create a little bit of space, and I can isolate this moment in time and go, I am frustrated. Just that declarative statement is unbelievable, right? Like, oh my gosh, something's happening in me. Then you ask the next question, which is so simple. Why am I frustrated? Mike, Brandon, you guys know, how often do we as entrepreneurs and business owners go, oh, the revenue's not where I want it to be. The business isn't going the direction I want it to go. Oh, I'm so mad. And then we immediately go into creation mode, right? It's like, well, I got to change this and I got to change this and maybe I need to fire that person. But what happens if we take a deep breath and we just sit back and we go, why is the revenue not where it needs to be? Why is that employee not quite performing up to par, so on and so forth? Doesn't that make a difference when we simply take a second and ask that question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I love it. The one thing I got out of that is isolating it. Brandon and I went to an event this weekend. It was Money Magic. And one of the things that they were talking about is how you viewed money from your perspective, how money viewed you. And then when you sat in the third chair, how you saw the communication between you and money. And if there was this issue, you would bring in this new chair and you would isolate it over to that chair and clean it away, and then clear your mind to think about the direction and how you feel about money and eliminating. I love that because you're talking about exactly that. You're isolating the issue, put it to the side and recognize it. And you're like, WTF. But now, hey, let's go forward and
change the experience.
Change it.
Yeah. Change the experience
That's
that you're
right.
having.
That's right. So you take that deep breath, you isolate that moment and create that space to just ask the question, why am I frustrated? And look, I get that sounds almost silly, like so simple. But when you do it and I go, oh, my gosh, I'm frustrated because I stubbed my toe on my bed for the 900th time, now you've at least isolated the thing that's causing the sort of cognitive dissonance or causing the discomfort. And now, because you've diagnosed, now you can begin to treat, right, which is the key. And so now when you've diagnosed, you've taken the moment, now it's looking for what's awesome. That is literally just the practice of finding the list of things that could be considered awesome. And here's the key. It isn't just I stubbed my toe. And if you noticed earlier, I didn't go, I stubbed my toe, but hey, I have a job and a house. Like, that's not the leap you want to make, right? It's like, oh, I stubbed my toe. Why am I frustrated? I'm frustrated because it hurts. Why does it hurt? Because I stubbed it on my bed. I have a bed. Who's in that bed? My wife. Where is that bed and my wife located? In my home. Where does the home house my children? Why do I have my home? Because I have a job. So all of a sudden I'm staying, like you said, Brandon, I'm staying present and I'm staying in the now, and I'm allowing that awesome that I'm discovering inside the frustration in that moment to kind of begin to ripple outward into other aspects of my life. But I have to start at the origin point. Otherwise, this isn't nearly effective enough. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now I take that point, right, and I go, okay, here's what's awesome, and I create that list of awesome. I switch the train track of my mind, and like you said, Mike, I let the momentum of my thought train continue down this new path, and my brain starts to find other things that can be awesome. What I really didn't give you much of in the last segment is this I step, right? Initiate or install gratitude. The reason why I say install is everybody has a smartphone, right? Everybody has an iPad. If you want to download some brand new awesome app or a game like Candy Crush, where do you have to go? I know this seems intuitive. Just stick with me. If you have your phone in your hand and you want to download an app, where do you go?
The App Store.
Go to the App Store. And then what do you have to do? Do you just open the App Store and then magically the exact app that you're looking for is right in front of your face?
No, you got to look for it.
No, you got to install it.
Look for it.
You got to
install
install
it. Search it down. You got to find it. You got to push the install button.
Oh, you just hit it, Brandon. You have to push the install button. Okay, this is a physical act that comes from a little bit of a intellectual pursuit and process than a physical act. And then what happens is when you hit the install button, think of the magic that takes place, right? The magic is all of this programming and all of this thing that before was a non-tangible. When it sat in the App Store as a potential app you wanted to download, it was a non-tangible. All of a sudden you hit a button, this physical act makes that non-tangible now tangible you can open it, log in, and now you have like 8 billion levels of Candy Crush, right? Or whatever it is. And so the question is, what's the app store of our life? Like, how do we take some sort of physical act to move that which is intangible into the realm of tangibility? And here's what we use. This is crazy. I know this seems stupid and so intuitive. We use the most powerful tool that's in our arsenal as entrepreneurs, which is language, words. You guys know it, right? If you wake up every day and you look at yourself in the mirror and you go, hey, stupid, you're poor and you're never going to succeed in business, what's going to manifest in real life?
Yeah, exactly. Words become.
Right? Yes, words become. Words
Absolutely.
are things.
So
we turned to Napoleon Hill.
Yep. So when we come back, we'll get more into this.
We'll
and
deep
let's
dive
finish
into
out
the
the
P.
install and the last one, the P. So, Kevin, we'll see you in a minute. And, folks, stay tuned. All right. Welcome back, Sacramento. This is Mike Driggers and my co-host, Brandon Heinz, and our special guest, Kevin Clayson. We're talking about flipping the gratitude switch. And we were just going through flip. And the last part, we were just finishing the I, which is install. Like an app, you install your gratitude. And so let's go ahead and carry from there, and then we'll get into the P. Kevin, why don't you share with the audience a little bit more about the install, and then we'll move forward from there.
Yeah, you got it. So what we were talking about is we find the frustration, and then we look for what's awesome, right? That's the F and the L. Then you move to I, which in the book I say is initiate gratitude, which I'll talk about in a second. But I've come to realize that it's a really easy way to kind of explain it when we talk about installing gratitude, which is really the process of taking the non-tangible and making it real, right? So we go to the app store of life, we use words, and then we tap the install button by actually using language. So, guys, you and I both know, right? Napoleon Hill, thoughts are things. The science of getting rich. I mean, all of these things, the way we think and form thoughts in words, those words have a real, literal, physical impact on our physical environment. So words, which could just be a thought and feel like it's intangible, when we vocalize them or we put them on paper, it's sort of the act of taking the non-tangible and making it tangible, which then calls into our experience something real. And so when we actually now go and we take that list of awesome, right? All right, you know what was it? It's awesome that I have a bed. It's awesome that I have a wife. It's awesome that I have a house. It's awesome that I have these kids. It's awesome that I've got a job that lets me have this house. That's our list of awesome embedded in the frustration when we isolated that moment. Now we install gratitude by initiating this gratitude sequence, and we use language. And we say something that seems so cheesy and so, like, unbelievable that it's this simple, but it is so simple, you guys. Finding your happiness is so much easier than people think. You literally now, you say, I am so thankful for, and then you fill in the blank with your list of awesome. Man, I'm so thankful that I have a toe. I'm thankful I can feel pain. I'm thankful that I've got this bed. I'm thankful that I have my wife. I'm thankful that we have this home. I'm thankful I have these kids. Now, here's the thing. Now, you guys have kids. You know what it's like. You know how kids get to the point where they've, like, had it, and they're, like, so bugged at their sister or brother. They're not getting what they want, and you're like, can you guys just realize how awesome your life is? Have you guys ever been to that point with your kids?
Always.
I know I've been there, and I'm like, guys, appreciate what you have here. Sometimes they take it for granted, right?
Sometimes it's a daily ritual.
Yeah, and
slow down.
Well, right. And here's the thing. You ever notice your kids' faces? Like, they kind of mean mug, right? They have, like, that sour face, like they just tasted, like, spoiled milk, like, when they're not happy. Like, they physically tell us, like, I am unhappy with the situation currently because I only got one piece of candy instead of 5 or whatever it is. You can see it in their countenance. I want you guys to try this, all right? This is what we do with our kids. When our kids are in that place where, like, they know about Flip the Gratitude Switch, by the way, because we parent. So I run my businesses through the lens of Flip the Gratitude Switch because it increases employee contentment, it increases their productivity, and it increases our ability to create solutions for customers. I parent through the lens of Flip the Gratitude Switch because it improves my marriage and it improves the way we interact with our children. So this is kind of a transcendent idea. This isn't just only to be used in the middle of frustration in just normal day life. Like, this is applicable in business and in parenting. So what we do with the kids, because they know about Flip the Gratitude Switch, I'll say, okay, here's the thing. Take a deep breath, right? I have them take a moment. I ask them why they're frustrated. They'll tell me. And then I make them list at least 5 things to be thankful for inside the frustration. And here's the deal. I make them use the language, I'm so thankful for, or so thankful that. Every single time, this is how it goes, right? It's like, I'm thankful that I at least got one piece of candy. Okay. Next one. I'm thankful that I have candy. Okay. Next one. I'm thankful that we got to go trick-or-treating. Next one. And all of a sudden, around 3 or 4, I start to see their eyes twitch and their mouth twitch. And all of a sudden, they begin to smile a little. And like my son will be like, I'm thankful I got to wear my Pikachu costume. I'm thankful that I have Pokemon cards. Like, it changes his brain in the moment that he's frustrated, and it flips that track, and I watch his countenance shift. And so when we actually use language like, I'm thankful for that thing, all that list of awesome embedded in the frustration, we will feel a physical change, and we can watch it in other people, and it's amazing. We're hardwired to feel awesome when we choose gratitude inside of frustration.
Absolutely. And you're nailing it. I love the fact that you're living it, because people always say, you know, how do you get your kids to change? Well, you be the person that you want them to be. And your friends, as a mentor to other businesses, I always say that I am the person that I would want you to follow. I'm not saying do this and I don't do it. I'm going to live that same way. So the fact that you're living that book in your business and this concept is in your family and you're living it daily with them, that's how change happens. We all know right now, it's all the experiences that you create with these children that change their mindset to start looking at things in a more positive aspect.
And so,
yeah,
true.
and you know,
here's the thing.
Go ahead,
Mike.
Go ahead.
You got it, Kevin. Go ahead.
Oh, all right. So here's the thing. Like, I know that this message is not because I'm smart. Like, I want to be real clear. This is not about Kevin. This is not about Kevin, and this is not about the book. It's about this idea that if you'll use it in your life, it will shift the trajectory of moments, which moments turn into days, days turn into weeks, weeks into months, months into years, years into lifetimes. Like, this is the way you become the hero in your own story. This is how you go from kind of living life sort of one tough challenge at a time, hoping to get through another day, to the point of unlocking like this unlimited joy and fulfillment and contentment in the life you have, which, by the way, translates to you feeling more abundant and actually bringing in more resources and abundance in your life. Like, this is your story, meaning whoever's listening. It's not about me. And I just get to be the ambassador and the messenger. I want to make sure everybody knows that. This is about the message and what it can do for you. I'm literally just your guide through the process in the book. I'm more than anything, I am the biggest testimonial that this stuff works, because I was the least thankful person on the planet. And I just want to make sure people know that, and that's why I use the message, because I'm not just a guy who wrote a book like, oh, this seems like a good idea. I think I'll sell books in 30 countries, which, by the way, we sold books in 30 countries over the last year. I didn't do it to be like, I'm going to be an international seller of books. No, it's like I just felt like I had to get this into the world so it could change people's lives the way it had changed mine, which is why, like, this can work if you'll use it.
Absolutely.
And so the last step,
absolutely.
The last step is P, right? So we go from I, which is initiate gratitude after we kind of install it and make the non-tangible tangible, and we move to P. P is where you power up with gratitude fuel, because gratitude fuels life. And this process, you guys, is so simple. It's literally this. It's your body releases dopamine when you see something awesome happen, when you serve another human, when you watch another human do something kind for someone, you get this feeling, and there's this chemical release of dopamine. The reason we wake up every morning and look at our phone first thing is not because we care about Facebook. We care about the feeling we get when somebody double taps our picture on Instagram or somebody likes our Facebook status. Like, that is dopamine that's released. Our kids are not addicted to their phones. They're addicted to the feeling they get by having that interaction on Snapchat so that they feel like somebody likes me, I'm important. It's dopamine. And by the way, addicts, I go and speak at a lot of recovery centers. They'll bring me in to work with addicts to help them see that they can choose a new way of looking at the life that they have and where they've been and where they can go. And what we found is, see, addicts, they get addicted to the feeling of the drug, not necessarily the drug, right? There's chemicals that are there. Dopamine release is something that is very, very real. And when you can find gratitude inside of frustration, your body releases that dopamine. This is a really healthy dopamine release that changes your brain, rewires your brain, and fuels you, fills you up, and moves you forward. I feel like every time I go through this process, I feel like Mario and I ate a mushroom and I get like big and awesome, right?
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
power up with this gratitude and it fuels you forward until the very next seemingly insignificant, tiny frustration, and then you wash, rinse, and repeat. And once again, you have this moment in time you can isolate, find the awesome inside the frustration, initiate that gratitude sequence. You'll power up with gratitude. And so here's the deal. The formula takes less than 30 seconds where you are as you are.
That's awesome,
And from
Kevin.
there,
So listen,
we're
we're got to wrap up the show, but I want to make sure that people know how to get to your book. So for those, you go to www.flipthegratitudeswitch.com and you'll find Kevin's book there. And Kevin, this has been an amazing interview. Really had an exciting time with you, and thanks for the tips. I mean, this has been an amazing show.
Yeah, and for our listeners, I mean, nothing will happen unless you do something in the now. Start making these things happen. Like I said, 30 seconds. Start out with 30 seconds, then go to 5 minutes. Whatever it takes for you, make it happen in the now.